across the 36 states. Before the wreath-laying ceremony, prayers were held for the living and fallen heroes, and then a minute silence observed in their honor. Highlight of the ceremony was the signing of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day Anniversary Register. The event came to a close with the release of pigeons, symbolizing peace in the country. Meanwhile, the 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day has been commemorated in Benin City, the Edo State capital. It was held at the Museum Oba Oworanwe Square. The Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, his deputy Comrade Philip Shuaibu, and other top government officials were in attendance.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day is held annually in Nigeria, 15th of January, to remember fallen heroes, men and women of the armed forces who have paid the supreme price to safeguard the nation's peace, security, and stability. On arrival, Governor Obaseki reviewed the military parade and participated in the wreath-laying ceremony. Governor, who commended the ex-military personnel for their supreme sacrifice for the nation, promised to empower the men through their involvement in agriculture and security management. Some of the participants speak on the significance of the day.
Chief Matthew Atama, the Ogesoba of Benin Kingdom. It's a day to remind ourselves that these men and women, these gallant men and women, fought for the unity and sovereignty of our country, Nigeria. And not to let their works be in vain, the government have set aside a day like today to honor them, and that's why we are here. And this ceremony is not just in Benin, it's happening simultaneously across the country. It's a remarkable day and it's well deserved.
Corps Commander Egwaku Monde, Nigeria Legion Corps of Commissionary. And it will interest you to know that these people have fought various wars. First World War, Second World War, Civil War, and all the conflicting zones. I think that they deserve, some of them, the body will be buried, but see here they move around. Some of them are disabled. That's why we are holding them today.
Earlier, Chairman of Nigerian Legion, Edo State Council, Assistant Commander General Sonny Epoigbe, and others lamented their poor welfare.
I'm very happy that we live today to celebrate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day because many have gone. We are not satisfied with our welfare. They should do more. There are other allowances we are supposed to be paid, like the Bamet allowance, minimum wage. We are not being paid after how many months. What have we done? It's a sin or it's a crime for us to spend our life to save the country.
My name is David Yari, Sergeant. I retire. 1979, I was retired as a disabled. My pain is this. I retire as a disabled. So my salary is 30,000. They deduct 10,000 away from it. That is 20,000. If I'm now a tenant, can I pay my hard rent to feed myself? So please, we've appealed to him to return what they take away since November last year. November, December.
I'm Captain Adejero, the chairman of Disabled of Nigeria Legion, Edo State Chapter. My brother, without being told, you can see for yourself. No artificial leave. I'm just managing like that. I'm seeing the tenant. Upon the years I've been in the army, I'm a Goma soldier. It's not yesterday. I've been in the force for years. I'm still a tenant. So we need government to help us.
The 21-gun salute and release of pigeons form part of the highlights of the ceremony. Others who participated in the wreath-laying ceremony include the Speaker of Edo State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Marcus Onobo, the State Chief Judge, Justice Esther Edigin, the Commander, 4th Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Usman Bello, and the Commander, 107 Air Maritime Group, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore E.E. Effiong. Nusa Hai Owadia, KUFM News.
And still in Edo State, school resumption in the state has been postponed to February 1st, 2021. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki disclosed this on Friday while briefing journalists on new measures taken to curtail the spread of the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in Edo State. Chinedu Okeja reports that new measures became necessary following steady rise in infection rate in the state in the last few weeks.
According to Governor Obaseki, there is 13.9% increase in community infection rate compared to the first wave, largely as a result of non-compliance by the citizenry. Part of the measures to cut down on the infection is to postpone school resumption from 18th of January, earlier proposed, to 1st of February 2021, subject to further review.
We have decided in Edo State that schools will not reopen for now. This situation will be reviewed on February 1st. We would like schools to reopen on February 1st, depending on the situation at that point in time. Because our research has now shown that unlike in the first wave, seeing more infections of children under the age of 10. In the first wave, that was not so apparent. But this time around, we're seeing a higher infection rate amongst very young children. As a result, we've agreed with religious leaders that children under the age of 12 and adults above the age of 60 should be encouraged to stay at home for now and not go to places of worship.
The government intends to go around schools and put some safety measures in place before the proposed date. Other measures include suspension of pool parties, nightclubs and other social gatherings, while curfew has been adjusted to begin from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily. Religious services will continue, but only in strict compliance with social distancing rules and shouldn't be more than 1 hour. And where there are more than one service, an interval of 1 hour should be given to enable for fumigation before the next service.
If we find you flouting any of the regulations, we have put in place enforcement mechanism to make sure that you are compelled to comply. We have put in place enforcement teams, and you'll be seeing them going around the city and communities. Once we get a report or we find out that anyone is breaching the regulations, we will effectively ensure that you not only comply, and if necessary, you will be charged and convicted.
Chairman, Sub-Technical Committee of the State Task Force on COVID-19 and Deputy Governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, said drivers of public vehicles are to insist on no face mask, no boarding.
Unlike the first wave, where we have to reduce the number of, we are maintaining the present number. But the difference now is that sanctions, unlike the first wave, the driver, if arrested and the passenger is not putting on masks, both the passenger and the driver will be sanctioned. So the implication is that no driver will allow a passenger to come into his vehicle without a face mask.
Also present at the briefing were the State Incident Officer, Dr. Andrew Obi, State Coordinator of WHO, Mrs. Faith Irehi, among others. Chinedu Okeja, KUFM News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 says there is no immediate plans to impose a lockdown in the country as a measure to curtail the second wave of the coronavirus disease. The PTF, in a statement issued by the Director of Information, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, said at no time was such consideration or recommendation made. It urged Nigerians to disregard the report and join hands with the federal government to contain the spread of the virus in the country by adhering to non-pharmaceutical interventions as recommended by the PTF. Civilization around the world has been celebrating the start of each year for ages with goal setting and new resolutions. But how did 2020 experience shape this age-long practice? Stay here. Extra Voices comes with an answer in a moment.
In the ever-revolving world of news, one story becomes extinct the moment another major story breaks.
Market women don't know whether they pay anything.
But with KUFM's Extra Voices, the story never dies. It just takes on a new life.
Market meho.
There is no water in the house. The toilet is not good.
We don't have any fashion in APC.
We bring you new angles and fresh perspectives to every story, no matter how old or remote.
There are a lot of educated people that are involved in politics nowadays.
We go a little beyond the surface to get you those extra details ignored in the rush for the news.
Now bridge, now we take the entire now.
Some don't die for inside.
We go beyond the lines to bring extra voices, not just just for those making the stories.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But for those affected by the stories.
I've lost 1 bag of rice, documents.
So it's a real disaster.
With Extra Voices, we add new flavor to give fresh perspective and taste to an old story. Extra Voices airs every Wednesday and weekends on KUFM's major news bulletins.
The anticipations and hopes that come with the new year are very inspiring, that most people go on to set goals to make New Year resolutions. Like the beginning of every year, 2020 came with such high hopes for many Nigerians. However, many of those hopes, dreams and aspirations never saw the light of the day due to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and other unpleasant events. Now 2021 is here. What lesson did 2020 leave behind? And how has it shaped people's perceptions about setting goals and making New Year resolutions? Well, that's KUFM's Extra Voices first poster for 2021.
2020 remained like a dream to many people who kept on hoping that they will wake up to realities, hopes, dreams, and targets which they had set at the beginning of the year. However, it remained a wish as the year fizzled out in the most surprising way, leaving many helpless and hopeless. The coronavirus pandemic, the EndSARS protest, school closure, the sudden rise in exchange rate, and of course, double-digit inflation were all few of the experiences that left a sour taste behind.
Last year, 2020, there were resolutions and decisions, but not all came forth.
I had these resolutions for 2020, but I don't think I could do anything when it comes to the EndSARS, to the pandemic and everything.
To be candid, I didn't achieve my goals for last year, not because of financial issues, but due to COVID-19 palaver. And to be honest, I'm yet to even recover from it.
I just started my business last year, so I think the major goal for me was to push it, make it more visible to people, so I've been able to get clients. COVID came along and it kind of messed up everything.
But while many continue to pick the pieces from the 2020 experience, others like Oyeyemi Agosu, Damilola Akinpelu have good tales to share of how the 2020 frustration was a blessing in disguise for them.
In the beginning of 2020, I set up a goal to save up to get another accommodation, and with all the crisis going on with the COVID and everything with EndSARS, I was able to achieve that goal and get a bigger and better place.
In 2020, I was due for a 6-month course. My goal was to earn a good grade and possibly get an award at the end of the course in December. I finished well. I achieved my goal.
Last year, I actually set some goals. Thank God, I was able to achieve some of my goals despite COVID-19 disruptions.
For 2020, the only resolution I took was to become a better version of myself. And I'm happy that it came to reality.
Last year, 2020, I set several goals. Part of it was opening my business. I was able to achieve tiny little things, even if we had restrictions due to the old COVID and EndSARS.
I did set a goal and I achieved that goal. Even with the COVID and the EndSARS, I was able to maintain it and achieve it.
With the experience of 2020 and over the years, do people still perceive the New Year resolution as a good practice or an old school fantasy?
I've learned over the years not to make resolutions. I instead prefer to take each day as it comes, celebrate the small wins as well as the big wins. I found out that it helps reduce pressure to achieve goals, stick to resolutions.
You always set goals every January of every year. As far as you are a matured person, I did.
For some of us who actually do not have this mindset of doing New Year resolutions, we just have targets that we keep aiming to achieve year in, year out. For me, no New Year resolution.
But notwithstanding the shortcomings of 2020, many are still hopeful that the year 2021 holds plenty of prospects than the previous years.
When it comes to 2021, if 2020 had taught us anything, is that every year is not a given. We don't know what will happen. So let's just say I've carried on my New Year resolution of 2020 to 2021. I'm hoping for the best because this is a year of new beginnings.
There are some goals that I was planning to achieve last year, so I've already carried them over for this year. So let's see how it goes.
We'll look forward to 2021, that things will work out perfectly.
Though the coronavirus pandemic that blighted the hopes of 2020 is back again with a second wave, there is perhaps light at the end of the tunnel with the announcement of a new vaccine. But remember, that is never an excuse to throw caution to the wind. For KUFM's Extra Voices, Blessing Asekume.
Coming up in a moment on our entertainment news, critics welcome Disney Plus series WandaVision. Details and more in a moment after this break. Welcome back. You're still listening to News Dawn on 92.7 KUFM. And now to our entertainment news, where the new Disney Plus series WandaVision, set in Marvel's cinematic universe, has been warmly welcomed by TV critics. The first 2 episodes of the 9-part series were released on Friday, with the remaining installments set to be released weekly. The majority of reviews awarded the show 4 stars out of 5, including those from Digital Spy, The Telegraph, The Guardian, and The Independent. Empire's Helen O'Hara said the series was delightful to watch. The first 2 episodes of WandaVision are set in the 1950s and 60s and presented in black and white. The series will move into color in later episodes. The show centers on the characters of Wanda Maximoff and Vision, who are living a domestic suburban lifestyle in the town of Westview, trying to conceal their powers. WandaVision takes place after the event of 2019 Avengers Endgame and sees Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany reprise their roles as the 2 main characters. The series sees the couple travel through the decades, parodying many classic TV shows in the process. It is understood every 30-minute episode will resemble a vintage US sitcom. And that's it on entertainment. And now in sports, where Man United legend Rooney appointed Derby coach. More to come on our sports bulletin shortly. And now talking sports, Manchester United and England twin Rooney ended his illustrious playing career on Friday to take up the job of managing Championship side Derby on a full-time basis. Derby confirmed the 35-year-old former forward had agreed a permanent deal until 2023, having succeeded Philip Cocu in an interim basis in November. The club statement confirmed that in accepting the manager's role, Rooney had elected to call time on his illustrious playing career to fully focus on his job. Rooney was in charge for 9 matches as interim boss at Derby, winning 3 and drawing 4. Rooney said he was blown away by Derby's potential when he arrived at the club after a spell playing for DC United and the United States. And that's it in sports. And that's the news, but before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headline. President Buhari salutes fallen heroes to mark 2021 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. In Edo State here, government postpones school resumptions to February 1st. Finally, on News Dawn, NAFDAC says no approved COVID-19 vaccines in the country. Please remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget, you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our KU mobile app from the Google Play Store. For visual purposes, you can join us live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria, and you can also listen to us on RadioGarden.com. KUFM's News Dawn was produced by Blessing Asekume. I am God's Love Orlando, saying thanks for listening and good morning.
On air, online,